buckets. Luka had 32 points in the win against the Nuggets with 10 boards, 7 assists on Saturday night. His first real breakout game with the Lake Show. After the win, JJ gave his impressions on Luka's game.
He was great. He controlled the game when he had the ball in his hands, made some great decisions. I thought the way he handled the shock with Jokic up in pick and roll early, getting us good looks, getting Jackson 2 layups. They had to go to other options. And then on the other end, it was, a top-notch defensive game from him.
That's the Luka that we all are accustomed, that have been watching over the last 7 years. Especially you get that left side of the floor step back going. Pretty damn dangerous, and big time game from him tonight.
I thought he was great. Everybody just wants to talk about struggles shooting the ball. He hadn't played since Christmas. This is his 4th game. He's a human at the end of the day, and a hell of a basketball player at the same time. So, he set the tone tonight with what he does, and obviously that's what we've all been accustomed to see for the last however many years he's been in the league.
It was nice. I think finally we saw him. I think he's still, getting back from an injury, and it's going to take a time, and playing with the, Bron, for Lakers, it's a different thing. So, I think it's going to be up and down, but I think as a team, I think we have to kind of progress. It's going to be a big progress.
Luka being Luka, man, be patient. I'm telling you, it's coming. Today was a great step to the right direction, but knowing LD probably mad. He shot some air balls. I'm like, bro, you were 4 for 9. He's still talking about the shots he missed. So that's just who he is, man. He always trying to get better, and I'm happy with us.
I think you can see it. Me smiling on the court, having fun. JJ told me, you gotta have one that Black Hawk moment you have. So I think I had one. But just felt like me a little bit, so I was happy.
Let's talk a little Luka. Has he arrived, or shall I say, as LeBron mentioned with you in postgame, Trudell, looking closer like the Luka that we've grown accustomed to seeing throughout the first 7 seasons? He talked about the smiling right there. He told Lisa Salters right away after the game that he felt closer to himself. How would you assess?
That was him. That was Luka. Now, I do think that in order to kind of sustain that level of play game after game, sure, you give him another week or two to really get into that full NBA shift, to really get his legs, but that is what he can do. And I think, the shot making, to me, that's a part of it for sure, because he's not exactly like LeBron, where if LeBron's outside shot isn't falling, there's a certain point where he's going to put his head down, he's going to get to the bucket, and he's going to find his rhythm that way. Luka is so confident in his shot, as well he should be, that he'll sometimes just keep shooting until the rhythm comes, and therefore he could have a rough shooting night, and I think that is in accordance with the legs. But one thing that we didn't see put in the graphic at first, he also had 4 steals in that game, and I think that's something that you probably think of Luka. Yes, he can get targeted in a screen roll action against a team that has a really good guard at times, but he's a super smart, instinctual defender, and 3 of those steals, Brez, were just him jumping in front of passing lanes and directly resulting in Lakers hoops on the other end. So, that's Luka too. He does all of that stuff, and he does it pretty well.
I'm going to loosely quote J.J. Redick. We showed a clip of him in the Laker locker room on the podcast, Allie, and he said, Luka, good to have you leaping back. And, and I think that was very strong, because Luka is obviously playing much better in the last game in particular. And, Mike, I thought he was a little short on his shots over the first few games of the Lakers. What does that tell you, Allie? As a former college basketball player, probably still getting back into shape after missing so many games since last playing on Christmas until about a week and a half ago. So, I didn't think he was not short on the shots the other night. I thought he looked strong. I thought he looked good. He looked decisive. And he had one of those blackout moments that J.J. Redick wanted him to have by yelling so loudly in that game. So he's definitely, if not back, very close to it.
Isn't it funny how the game that it looked like his legs were back under him was in a place where people struggle typically to get to their first one, let alone their second. And Luka looked like he didn't need any time to get there, just looked healthy and fresh, which is a good sign.
For sure.
The Lakers got it done both offensively and defensively on Saturday night, but they have been really hanging their hat on the defensive side of the basketball. And what is now not a small sample size. The Lakers led the association in defensive rating in the last 15 games. Earlier at practice, J.J. Redick discussed the Lakers' defensive mentality.
Thought for sure just our initial physicality. Thought Rui, Bando for sure, Doe, Gabe, all LeBron. Like, we just had a lot of guys play really physical basketball on that end. And then just the commitment to it. Not overreacting to Gordon making early threes, not overreacting to Westbrook making jump shots. That takes a certain level of discipline to do that. And that our guys just really, executed at a really high level.
Coach, since the AD trade, the team's been top 3 rating, really doing a good job of denying points in the paint. How's the team been able to excel defensively, even after losing a guy like AD?
Again, just team defense, and that was something that we had preached and talked about throughout the year, not just when we had AD. Our group is committed to it right now, and we have some good defenders. We have some really good defenders, but I think in the NBA, OKC has a bunch of really good on-ball guys. They still play a team defense. You have to play a team defense, and you have to rely on each other.
It's more so the system, we have right now. We help off, we help each other. We play defense. Of course, it's the individual defense, but also it's a team defense. I think we cover for each other. That's our first thing that we talk about, when we play the team defense, and I think that's what we've been great at. So we just got to keep doing that.
Like, I think as of lately, there's been games, I think of the Indiana game, when you're not fully healthy and you're not at full strength, but they show what they're capable of. And then there's nights when they are whole and healthy against Denver, and they look great defensively as well. Is this a level of defense that this team, because of the connectedness that JJ speaks of and playing hard night in and night out, they can sustain? Russ?
I think so. I mean, the trick is going to be when they play teams with really good centers, how's that going to go? Well, we just saw it the other night against Denver, and they annoyed him. They annoyed Jokic. They antagonized him. Without AD, they no longer have a major shot-blocking presence, but Vanderbilt, Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui, and of course Jackson Hayes all kind of combine to pester Jokic into making only 2 shots, Mike. I just don't remember seeing him so ineffective against the Lakers in all the years they've been playing each other in these meaningful games. So far, so good with the defense. Allowing that team to 100 period on the road, really impressed.
There's a lot of things that go into this, and finding that level of connectivity that you alluded to, Allie, can be a really fickle thing amongst a basketball team. And if you just watch how the Lakers are playing right now, take out the Charlotte game and the Utah game, the 2 that are around the All-Star break, where clearly the Lakers were kind of just trying to get that time. They have been on a string, and so you can be on a string, but then you also have to have enough personnel with enough talent and skill. And so to me, the guys that represent that are Dorian Finney-Smith and Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt off the bench. Like that energy and just kind of activity that they have, that's a lot different from what the Lakers started the season with, right? Where it was like D'Lo and Dalton Connect playing a lot more of those minutes because Vanderbilt wasn't back yet. Finney-Smith was in Brooklyn. Vincent was just getting his legs under him. And then I think, Ali, importantly, LeBron doesn't get enough credit for the upswing in the defense too. I thought to start the season, he was still kind of trying to get his legs under him in year 22. And since he had that combo with JJ after Miami, he's just been setting a tone from an energy standpoint. And then that's mixed with some of these other personalities to really get the defense going. I know I didn't say anything about schemes, and that makes a big difference too with JJ, but that energy that I think the team is feeling, this connectivity, the collectiveness of it, that to me is where that starts with the defense.
I'm going to come back to you on this one. Give me one guy that's impressed you most defensively.
I'm going to stick with LeBron just because of year 22.
Yeah.
And he could just very easily say, guys, I've done enough defensively over the course. Like, let me get to you in the fourth quarter and the postseason. And instead, he's out there at times, like he started the game on Jamal Murray in Denver. And I just think, like, all things considered, when he is playing and giving that kind of effort, everybody else on the team is going to come up to that level as well. I got to go with LeBron.
Having said that, not only are they probably inspired by it, but if he is doing it, why can't you?
Right.
From an effort standpoint.
Yeah, I'm going to go with, more recently, kind of an out-of-the-box candidate, Austin Reeves. People kind of pick on his defense, and in the past, sometimes teams focus on going one-on-one on him. I'm really impressed by the charges he's been taking, the steals he's been getting. And, you know, steals aren't exactly the mark of a good defender. Sometimes defenders gamble, but I think his are in play, like in a very good part of the game. And he's playing within himself defensively, just trying to make it that much harder on whoever he's guarding. Is he going to be first-team all-defense? Of course not. But I've been really surprised by him in some of these Laker wins lately.
You talk about the 4 steals from Luka and Denver on Saturday, and then you talk about the defensive-ness that we saw from Austin and Portland. Just the game before those 2 steals, those 2 blocks, the timely possessions that he had. It's a game that Luka definitely has circled back as we take some time to do some win-loss predictions. It's a tough stretch upcoming for the Lakers. And Trudell, we know how much you love win-loss predictions. So we're going to start with you.
Trainer just couldn't wait to get me in on this one.
KYP, you're welcome. We'll start with the Mavs on Tuesday.
Thanks, Ryan. I do think that it's a win to start. I mean, look, the Mavericks could not be any more shorthanded in the front court. They're literally starting Kessler Edwards, who, you know, at the center spot, and then kind of rotating guys in like Prosper off the bench. They're still playing super hard though, so this is not a gimme by any chance, any semblance of the word. But I do think that the Lakers come out on top in this one.
Perez?
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said, I mean, Lively's out. Is PJ Washington?
Washington's in, but Gafford's out. AD's out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big news. Obviously, AD not even news anymore. It's been out for weeks. Out for a couple more weeks at least. This is a Laker win in LA. If it was back in Dallas, that's a different story. But I like the Lakers at home.
And of course, Luka, you know.
Yeah,
there's that whole part of it.
He might want to take on his old team.
How many blackout episodes is he going to have tomorrow?
And that's the thing. But it's complicated, right? Because he loves his former teammates, I'm sure. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's just so, like, I don't think he's going to want to, like, rip their heads off, but he wants to win the game and play well.
Yeah. Your T-Wolves versus the Lakers.
Oh, Mike, what are you going to do?
Win-loss.
This is a Laker win too, I think. So the Timberwolves are also super banged up. Also, a lot of their bigs are out. So Gobert has been out the last couple of games. Julius Randle has been out. So they're playing smaller. Naz Reid's still a challenge, certainly. But Anthony Edwards is having to carry such a high degree of the offense that's been a little bit more difficult for the Wolves. Just lost back-to-back games to the Thunder. So I got the Lakers winning that one.
Perez, he's got 2 in a row.
I'm with you on this as well. This is a Laker win. Just not enough front court power to offset whatever the Lakers can do. This is a weird team. Like, I really thought that even after the trade, I'm like, okay, this team should be something good. It's hard to give away Karl Anthony Towns right before training camp. I thought they'd still be like around 5 or 6. They've been mucking around in the play-in 7 through 10 pretty much the whole season. Are they going to figure it out? Maybe, but first they got to get healthy, and it's not going to happen against the Lakers.
Will they be in the play-in?
Oh, yeah, I think so. The thing is, it's a 7-8 or 9-10. You just don't want to be in that 9-10 game. I'm going to pencil in for 7-8.
What do you think, Trudell?
Yeah, I still think they have enough to get there. I think Edwards can kind of lead them out of the back end of that plan. And plus, you have Dallas, who's going to slide some. So that you have teams in there. Sacramento's not playing well. So I think they're the best of that group. They just got to, take care of business
Clippers
a little bit.
not playing well either.
Clippers are sliding a little bit. They just lost again in Detroit. And speaking of the Clippers.
So here we go. Will the Lakers be on a 5-game win streak after this first matchup on Friday with the Clippers?
I think the Lakers are considerably better than the Clippers, but I am going to give them a schedule loss in this one just because it's a back-to-back. It's the second night. The Clippers don't play the previous night. So it's not just a back-to-back, but it's the 3rd and 4 nights. And I just think that one, we also don't know for sure, are Luka and LeBron going to play in that one?
How are we handling that?
LeBron's played in the back-to-back at Portland. I think we're assuming, JJ said he's hopeful that Luka can now play in the back-to-backs, but we just don't know. So because of all of the uncertainty, I'll give the Clippers that one.
Perez?
I'm going to give the Lakers a W in this one. I just like the way that they played against the Clips. The last time they played them, they really dominated them. Clippers really trending down right now, not playing good basketball. That's a team, Allie, that I firmly think will be in that 9-10 slot in the play-in by the time the regular season comes to a close.
So, Perez, you have them on a 5-game win streak so far. I don't see a loss coming up anytime soon. Trudell?
So I have the bounce back the next game, and this could be one of those when you play a team twice in a row, as we just saw with Utah, who is not as good even as the Clippers, right? It's tough when you beat a team by 30 and then play them again the next day. So I think the Lakers bounce back. Now you could invert this. My guess is that's what Brez will do. But I went with the loss because of the back-to-back, and then had it been different, right? Had the back-to-back been between the next 2 games, I would have flipped it.
Flipped it.
In this case, I think the Lakers then win that one, and if they lose to the Clippers in the first time, it'll be easy.
Allie, please don't hate me, but the Laker win streak will finally come to an end on that Sunday. A slightly earlier game against the Clips. Look, it would be hard for the Lakers to beat that team 3 games in a row, which it would have been if they do win this Saturday game against them. I just don't know if it's going to happen. The Clippers have been such a pain in the Lakers' side for years now. You know, the Lakers, if they finish 2-2 against these guys this year, I think that's a really good reversal from what we've seen over the last almost decade, Mike. It's unbelievable.
Look, crazier things have happened. Luka Doncic is a Laker.
That's true. You got that right.
I was just double checking too. So Norm Powell has been out the last couple of games, and so that's one of the reasons why it's tricky as we predict ahead. So is Powell going to be back? That makes them a different team. Is Kawhi going to play in both of the games? He missed tonight's game in Detroit, so they're dealing with their own stuff injury-wise.
Yeah, they are.
Do you want me to move on to the Pelicans, Allie?
I'm going to guess that it's going to be a W for the Lakers.
Yeah,
The New Orleans Pelicans, Mike Trudell.
Yes, but I'm not going to say their name in the way that you did, just because I think they're a little bit better right now than their record. So Zion is healthy and playing very well.
Still, he is at his lowest weight since coming in the NBA.
I mean, he looks sharp. I just saw that. I just watched them last night. Like, Trey Murphy has been excellent on the wing. By the way, he's tight with JJ Redick. So I think they've got some pieces there. McCollum is healthy. Alvarado is healthy. So they've got some guys. Yves Missy is a nice rookie. But, I do have the Lakers winning the game. I just think that New Orleans isn't quite as bad as it would seem. Yeah.
Got it.
Allie, I didn't mind the way you delivered it. This is a Laker double-digit win. Don't forget that the Pelicans also traded Brandon Ingram, our friend Brandon Ingram, a few weeks ago before the trade deadline.
They got Olynyk and Bruce Brown back, though. Both pretty good players. Ingram had been injured and out anyway.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It's not nothing, but it's, in my mind, they gave up on this season. Dead last in the West, right? Obviously, it's all injury-driven.
Utah's fighting their way with them to try to get back there.
A two-way slow-speed chase right there. But it's one of the more surprising stories of the season that team is barely into double digits. Just so many injuries. It's got to be some sort of historic pace for
Memphis
that
last year.
franchise.
Just like the whole team's injured.
These next two are interesting because, again, as we've talked about it a lot on these shows on the podcast, you're every other day with back-to-backs in there.
Yeah.
So starting with the Knicks on March 6th, Mike Trudell. Here, obviously, in LA.
I've got a win for the Lakers there. I think they've got the edge in this matchup, as we've seen. And Redick had a great game plan for the Lakers when they played in Madison Square Garden. And we saw kind of a similar game plan against Denver, except that they fronted Jokic more than they fronted Towns, because Towns is more perimeter-based. But either way, they just basically focus on the two-man game with Cat and Brunson, and then they attack the crap out of Brunson and Cat on the other end. And it works well. And now you add Luka to be able to attack them. The Knicks, I think, are 0-7 against the best teams
they can't
in the league. Yeah, it's because they can't defend inside, and in part because you can attack both Brunson and Cat. So I like the Lakers in that one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like the Knicks. The record's nice. They're third in the East. But when you really take a microscope to it, who have they beaten? And they just can't get over the hump. They just had another chance the other day, lost to Boston. And I think it's here in L.A., and I just like the way the Lakers played, as you mentioned, not that long ago against the Knicks. Does that team, are they going to miss Hartenstein, at some point?
A ton.
You're right.
They miss him a ton, Brez.
Obviously, he's doing good things with his current team,
For
but
sure.
they miss him in the middle. Not like he's a giant shot blocker, but he's tough and he's durable and gets a ton of rebounds.
He's a hooper.
Yep.
Yeah.
We know what happened the last time the Lakers and Celtics met here in LA. This is the start of a 4-game road trip.
Yeah.
Trudell, in Boston, win-loss.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
Is James Worthy watching?
More than likely. Yes.
Well, I don't love.
Just
earmuffs for a second. I am going to give this one to the Celtics, mostly because the Lakers smacked them in LA, and they were in their phase of like, we can't be interested in the regular season right now. Well, they have flipped that around. They're beating everybody by double digits again. They are in their sort of ramp up, and I think that they will, especially having gotten their butts blasted last year by the Lakers, without LeBron and AD playing in that one. So I think basically the Lakers will have take the Celtics' best shot. And I think that right now the Celtics' best shot in a regular season game, when it's the start of a long trip, will favor them. But, Luka's on the team now. The Lakers could win. I'm going to pick the Celtics.
I'm willing to bet you will be talking to the
James.
big game when he is at the arena tomorrow night with you.
Well, hopefully Brez will pick the Celtics too, just so it's not all on me.
Doubt it. Doubt it.
No, I'm with you, Mike.
Okay,
I mean, it's to me, it's like you said, it's on the road. It's Boston. They're irritated by what happened there a year ago. Not to mention earlier this season here in LA. Boston, obviously a very good team. They have a lot of pieces. You know, I just think it's a little too much for the Lakers. And that road trip, Allie, you and I were talking about on the podcast. After this game in Boston, they go to Brooklyn. That feels like a gimme game, but then you go to Milwaukee and Denver. That's a really tough 4-game trip. I called it on the podcast one of the most important 4-game road trips in March in seemingly a long, long time. 3 quality teams on that trip.
Allie, can I amend a mistake that I made? I said that the Wolves had lost back-to-back games against the Thunder because they were down by 21 in the fourth quarter, and they just tied the game to send it to overtime.
With how much time?
Whoa.
To send it to overtime.
To send it to overtime.
Yeah. So just to make sure that wasn't being factually incorrect, I had assumed that game was over because of a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter, and they were sitting their starters for the most part. Anyway, just want to get that off my chest.
Maybe you can update us at the end of the show with who
I
won.
still will pick
We're going to
the
fix
Lakers
the
to win that
entire
game.
block in the commercial, thanks to Mike Trudell. Having said that,
Sorry.
you guys both have the Lakers at 5-2. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah,
Trudell.
that sounds about right.
5-2 after the next 7, which is because I trust both of you until it's live action and you have to give. I'm just kidding. That's pretty darn good. That means the Lakers are playing good basketball.
No doubt.
Because we're talking about a stretch that is not easy.
I mean, I think there's an argument that they are the 4th best team in the league right now. A good argument.
Because they are.
Yeah.
That's a real good
Some
argument.
people would put Denver 4 and put the Lakers behind them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like some people, but you could, there's a couple other teams you could throw in there. Some people might like Milwaukee, but I think that they're in a good spot for that.
You were like being smart with that comment. That was funny. Coming off his best performance in a Laker uniform while holding the highest per average in Dallas history, he's also top 5 in assists and had 80 triple-doubles during that stretch. Here's Dorian Finney-Smith on Luka facing off against his former team.
We want to get this win just like any other game, but we know it's going to be a lot of emotion in the air as far as what everything that's done happened, but we just try to go out there and get the win.
Speaking of that emotion, you know that Luka use that to fuel himself sometimes. How do you think it'll fuel him tomorrow night?
I think he's going to be excited, but everybody in the locker room is excited. We got his back. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I know Jay Kidd going to have them ready to come in and compete, so we just got to match the intensity.
He's still recovering from his injury, I guess. He's still coming back for it. But I think he got his rhythm back, a little bit. So I'm excited for him tomorrow, It's home against his ex-home team. So, I'm going to be, it's going to be a good one, and it's going to be fun.
How do you think emotionally he'll handle the Singapore team, knowing him?
I think he'll be fine. Yeah, I think he'll be fine. He's every day that he's been with us, it's becoming just a little bit more normal. I've been there, like the first time you play your old team, particularly this close in time duration. It's going to be weird, but he'll be able to handle it.
I love, Brez, I'll start with you. What Dorian Finney-Smith said, we're all excited, but we got Luka's back. What are you expecting?
You know what's funny? Rarely do you see teams play each other this quickly after a trade. I mean, just quirk of the schedule. Sometimes you don't see your old team till the next year. And now, all of a sudden, just a couple weeks later, they're going up against each other. I think it's going to be an explosive environment at Crypto.com Arena, playoff-type atmosphere. If AD would be playing in this game, it would be like conference finals type of playoff intensity, Mike. But because he's not playing, I think it'll still be a great atmosphere, just not quite the bite of AD coming back to play against his old team at the arena that he played in for 6 years. But still an awesome game, and you're going to be there, and that's going to be a fun one to cover.
Yeah, I think the first part that I think of, Ali, is just that if AD, assuming that he is there, and if Max Christie is there, just them getting their flowers and sort of their thanks from Laker fans. And I would expect that to be super positive and supportive of them. And like that, I think that will be cool from a Lakers standpoint. And then for Luka, Ali, you could probably convince me of 2 things. One, that he's just going to go into blackout mode, as JJ Redick said, and just, okay, you didn't want me, here's 60. But then at the same time,
that
I
would
think
be insane.
And then at the same time, I think that he has very conflicted feelings. Like, these are his teammates. He was just with them. He loved his guys there, and he just wants to win now with the Lakers, and he doesn't want it to be all of just the Luka game. I think he wants, like, there's LeBron, here's Austin Reeves, we're playing well as a team, and maybe the expectation that every time he touches the ball, he has to shoot, like, maybe that's not the best thing for him. So I don't know which way that could go. What do you think?
What do you think? Go ahead.
There's a part of me that it's the 60. It's the deep down. It's the, I understand the teammate connection and the relationships there, but I think they also understand that it's a competitiveness about Luka.
I'm getting these shots
that you can't
up.
deny it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to add, just was really.
Maybe that's also
fun.
my selfishness of wanting to
That would be the
possibly see
most
that.
fun thing to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to add that sometimes these games get a little weird because the teammates do miss each other. Last week when Milwaukee was playing Washington, Kuzma just, absolutely absentmindedly dapped up Koulibaly during a play that he made. It's like, hold on a sec.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
Kuz is
funny.
with that guy the last few years. Now he's on another team. I don't see Luka exactly dapping up one of his ex-teammates, Kyrie, in the flow of the game. But it's going to be fun regardless.
Absolutely.
If Max, let's say, if Max Christie misses a defensive rotation, do you think LeBron will instinctively point to where he
needs to go? Max, you're in the wrong spot. Speaking of Max, from Luka to another guy we will see Tuesday night. Max Christie will be making his return to LA with the Mavericks, and he is thriving in his new space. He was averaging a little over 8 points per game with the Lakers, but with the Mavericks, he's averaging over 15 per contest while shooting 44% from three. And at practice, JJ Redick has nothing but praise for Christie.
Max, since the day I took the job, was someone that I was very high on, and really, him and Jalen were the first two guys that we got our hands on because we weren't with the summer league team all that much. So Bronny and DK were kind of with that group, and Max and Jalen were with us in summer league, and just feel very invested for the rest of my life in his career. And he's someone who, throughout our time together, was given more opportunity and became someone who starred in his role. He has, a lot of freedom in Dallas that, frankly, he didn't have here. At some point, he would have had it here, but really happy to see him succeeding.
Agree with JJ there, just in terms of seeing him succeeding. Obviously, you want the best for Max and AD, of course. But the freedom part, are you surprised at all that he's been able to flourish? Obviously, a different supporting cast around Max in Dallas.
No, I mean, I can't say that I'm surprised just because he had really been starting to show a lot of the things, even within the last 2 weeks of him expanding his role, because the three-point shooting, like the catch and shoot stuff was going, but then after they traded D'Lo, they needed Max to do a little bit more on the ball, and he had started to do that, and he looks good doing it. So I just think that kind of everybody is a winner here in terms of like Max individually, people respecting his game, him having the opportunity in Dallas, the Lakers scouting department for taking him in the second round, the Lakers developmental crew for developing him, Max, of course, himself for allowing him, learning from Austin Reeves, from LeBron James. And
taking advantage of that.
And he, from a Lakers standpoint, yes, it's tough to lose a guy like that, but he was a key part in getting them Luka Doncic. Like maybe the Mavs don't do that deal if it's just AD and picks. Like maybe they really did. Clearly, they'll want somebody of Max's stature that they could kind of use as a key starter going forward. So pretty positive all around in that context.
That is such a great point. I mean, Max Christie, as a Laker reporter, I'm sure you were hearing what I was hearing last summer, that he was working out hard.
Yeah.
Despite signing that 4-year extension.
JJ mentioned it right away.
Right away.
He was like, wow, this dude is a guy.
He was in the facility the whole summer working out and not trying to just rest on the fact, all right, I got my extension. I can cruise for a little bit. It didn't show the first month or two of the season. And I was kind of perplexed by that a little bit. But then finally, in the last couple months, he started playing really good ball. And now we're seeing the extension of that. And all those Mavs fans who are crying about this trade, you got a really good player in Max Christie. All right, so just see what happens with it. And
they're still going to be allowed to cry about the trade.
They could cry, sure.
Or
I was going to stop you from weeping. And the mock funeral, did you see that?
Yeah.
Just the whole thing, the guy sobbing uncontrollably.
I get it.